The Promised Neverland Season 2 has been getting a lot of backlash, and even Jesus himself said it wasn't good. However, I'm gonna go against the grain and disagree with my fellow weeaboos and say that Season 2 of The Promised Neverland isn't bad. In fact, I think it's pretty enjoyable. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying it's on the same level as the original season, but as far as animes go, it isn't bad. One of the biggest problems people have with the second season is that it diverts from the manga and takes an anime original route. I didn't actually read the manga myself, so that could be why I'm not as disappointed as some, but I usually don't like it when animes don't follow the manga either. From what I have seen, it seems like the anime skips some pretty interesting stuff from the manga, but I'm judging the season on its own merit, and not how it compares to the manga. Supposedly these changes were actually overseen by the manga's author, though I don't know to how much of an extent he was really involved. I'm gonna get into some spoilers for Season 2, so if you haven't watched it yet and don't want to be spoiled, I recommend you crawl back into your mother's basement and finish it before watching the rest of this video. The beginning of Season 2 actually follows the manga pretty accurately up until they find the hidden shelter Minerva led them to. From there, things start to diverge drastically. In the anime, the shelter was completely empty, but in the manga they were greeted by a scruffy-looking young adult who turned out to be the last survivor of a group of escaped farm kids. He ends up giving everyone guns from the armory and trains them, and they go on to have battles with demons and whatnot. Like I said, I didn't read the manga, so I don't know much more than that, but that's a far cry from what happened in the anime. In the anime, all they did was stay in the shelter for a few days before they were attacked and had to leave again. And the most advanced weapons they ever used were bow and arrows. Though I have to say, to me, I think nobody being at the shelter they were going to is actually a better narrative choice, as it made the kids feel more alone. They spent all this time looking for Minerva, only to find nobody was home. After being forced to leave the shelter, the kids were forced to survive near a demon city, and we get to see a closer look at how the demons lived. They were actually very similar to humans, besides the fact they eat people, but hey, some people do that too. The kids were forced to disguise themselves as demons and even entered their city to survive. And they almost ended up being caught, but they were saved by Deus Ex Machina, Norman, who surprise surprise was still alive. I definitely saw that coming, though in a show like this, I wouldn't have been too surprised if he stayed dead. We find out from him that the demons need to eat humans to maintain their intelligence, and that Norman and his fellow compatriots that he found created a drug that can revert these demons back into mindless monsters. Emma, being obsessed with saving everyone, realized she didn't want to kill the demons, but rather find a way to coexist with them. This reminds me a bit of Tokyo Ghoul, which is another anime that diverted from the manga and was ruined. Coexistence with the demons was actually possible due to the fact there was a demon named Mujika with blood that could make it so other demons could permanently stay intelligent without eating people. The reason her blood wasn't spread to everyone was due to the elite class of demons killing anyone with that blood so they could control everyone's intelligence with their supply of humans. Typical elitists. Emma makes Norman promise to hold off on his plan while she looks for Mujika. But while she's gone, Norman starts with his plan anyways and sets off his chemical weapons in the demon city. It was a gruesome sight as demons killed their loved ones, and when Norman was about to kill an old demon man and his granddaughter, the demon called out his granddaughter's name.
Emma! Emma,
What does that mean? Why did you say that name? Why did you say that name? Why did you say that name?
Norman went full Batman vs. Superman like he just heard the name Martha and hesitated. Before he could deal the finishing blow, the other Emma showed up with Mujika and stopped him and saved the surviving demons of the town. I like the message that this was portraying, as it was showing how even though they were demons, deep down they're similar to them, and that if they forget their differences, they can get along and prosper together. This is of course a message to racists out there, showing that if they can get along with demons who literally want to eat them, you can get along with people with different skin colors. So stop being racist! I would say it goes even beyond that, as if we ever create AI with a will of its own, or meet aliens from another planet, we should treat them with the same respect we would want to be treated ourselves. Back on topic, after the Martha incident, they all raided the Gracefield Farms and took it over. The maid mamas ended up turning good and all the children forgave them for feeding them off to their demon overlords. Which does seem a bit forgiving, but they are children and those are the women that raised them. And it's not like they had much choice in the matter, as if they didn't follow the demon's rule, they would have been killed as well. So I suppose it's understandable. The gatekeeper of the farms, who also happened to be a human, is I guess the closest this season had to an actual antagonist. But Emma forgave him too for all of the horrible things he did, and told him to come along with them back to the human world. But he didn't want to be a part of this anime adaptation any longer, so he killed himself. They then all went to the human world, except for Emma, Ray, Norman, along with a few of Norman's crew he met while he was separated from the others. They decided to stay behind to save the rest of the humans stuck in the demon world being used as food, and to help the demons break free from their curse of needing to eat humans to continue surviving. There's then a scene where we see the queen of the demon world and her top demon generals for the first time. And Ray says how they're gonna have to fight even stronger enemies than ever, and I was like, cool, there's gonna be a season 3 and we're gonna get to see some of the stuff they left out from the manga. But nope. They just started playing a PowerPoint presentation with music and literally showed all of what season 3 could have been in a couple minutes. And then at the end, we see Emma and the others reunite with each other in the human world after a time skip. This is really the point where I thought this season made its biggest mistake. While I don't think it's the wisest decision to deviate from the manga, I thought the story told this season was solid enough, and as long as there was an epic final season, this anime could have overall still been really good. However, what we ended up getting was a pretty cool second season with a disrespectful ending showing us what could have been. I looked into what happened in the manga a little, and it looks like there was a final battle with the Demon Queen, and a bunch of other cool stuff that happened. If they really wanted to leave that stuff out, then whatever. But why show her off near the end to hype us up for something, only to end it right there to never give us a payoff? It makes no sense. There was another big plot point that was dropped as well. The powerful demon named Sonju who traveled along with Mujika was shown to have an evil side, wanting to be able to hunt and eat humans in the future. But then that was literally never brought up again, and he just helps them for the rest of the show. That would have been a perfect betrayal for Season 3, but I guess that's never gonna happen. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if a Season 3 was initially planned, but the backlash they were getting from this season made them change their minds and decide to just end it here. That would at least explain the horrible PowerPoint ending. They were like, we aren't doing another season, so let's wrap this shit up in 3 minutes. Honestly, a third season wasn't completely necessary, as the story of the Gracefield kids was pretty much completed. But they just brought up interesting plot points and didn't deliver on them, and it leaves a bad taste in your mouth. They could have just not shown them at all, or they could have had one extra episode where after they were alerted to what was happening, the Demon Queen and her people showed up at the farm as they were leaving, and had one final battle with them. Sonju would end up turning on them because he doesn't want the humans to leave the demon world either, and then somehow they beat him along with the queen and her men. Then they could show a PowerPoint slide of them saving all the humans and bringing them to the human world. I would have been completely fine with that. I just don't understand how they can gloss right over the biggest villains in the entire demon world, and show these other things we have no understanding of like it's nothing. So in the end, I thought most of the season was enjoyable, but it has a disappointing ending. I would give it a 7 out of 10 on the weeaboo scale.